Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the exploration vessel Horizon's Edge, watching the massive alien ships appear near Jupiter. 3 ships, each the size of a small city, hung in space like glittering jewels. After decades of searching for life beyond Earth, humanity had finally found it. Or rather, it had found them. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission," said Lieutenant Amy Chen from her communication station. Her voice shook slightly with excitement and fear. "Put it through," Jake ordered, straightening his uniform. History was about to be made. The main screen flickered and an alien face appeared. The being looked like it was made of living crystal, with light dancing through its translucent features. When it spoke, the words came through their translation systems in perfect English. "Greetings, young species of the third planet. I am Ambassador Veltar of the Zephyrian people, speaking for the Galactic Confederation. We welcome you to the community of intelligent life." Jake stepped forward. "I'm Captain Jake Morrison, representing Earth and humanity. We are honored to meet you." Veltar's crystalline features shifted in what might have been a smile. "How wonderful that you have achieved space travel so quickly. Your species shows great promise for such young beings." Dr. Lisa Hayes, the mission scientist, raised an eyebrow at the comment but said nothing. She stood beside Jake, her tablet recording everything. Lisa had studied alien contact protocols for years, but nothing had prepared her for this moment. "We would like to invite representatives to board our vessel for formal first contact," Veltar continued. "There is much we can teach your people." 2 hours later, Jake and Lisa found themselves in the alien ship's meeting room. The space was enormous, with walls that seemed to flow like water. 3 different alien species sat around a curved table that looked grown rather than built. Veltar introduced the others. "This is Hivemind Kixara of the Cathera," he said, gesturing to a being that looked like a giant insect with multiple arms. "And Consciousness Driftle of the Nebulans." The third alien appeared to be made of colored gas contained in a suit. "Your species has accomplished much in such a short time," Kixara said, its voice buzzing like a swarm of bees. "When we first detected your world, we expected many more centuries before you achieved flight between stars." Lisa leaned forward. "How long have you been watching Earth?" "Oh, not long," Driftel replied, its gaseous form swirling. "Perhaps a few thousand of your years. Your planet is very young, you see, only 4.5 billion years old. Most worlds need much more time to develop intelligent life." Jake and Lisa exchanged glances. Earth was actually 4.6 billion years old, but the aliens seemed to think this was unusually young for intelligent life to develop. "We've prepared some gifts for your people," Veltar said, touching a crystal panel. The table's surface lit up, showing images of various technologies. Basic medical knowledge, simple manufacturing techniques, elementary energy systems. Nothing too advanced, of course. "Your people aren't ready for our more sophisticated technologies." Lisa watched the displays carefully. The basic medical technology looked incredibly advanced, but something about it seemed familiar. She couldn't place why. "This is very generous," Jake said diplomatically. "What would you want in return?" "Nothing," Kixara buzzed happily. "We remember when we were young species like yourselves. The Confederation exists to help new civilizations grow safely. We offer you junior membership in our alliance." "Junior membership?" Lisa asked. "Yes," Veltar explained patiently. "Full membership requires technological and social development that takes millions of years. But as junior members, you can learn from us, trade basic goods, and grow under our guidance." The meeting continued for hours. The aliens spoke to them like adults speaking to bright children. They praised humanity's achievements while making it clear they considered humans primitive compared to themselves. Back on the Horizon's Edge, Lisa sat in her lab studying scans she had secretly taken of the alien technology. Commander Ryan Blake, Jake's second-in-command, found her there at midnight. "Can't sleep either?" Ryan asked, sitting down across from her. "Ryan, look at this," Lisa said, showing him her tablet. "These energy patterns from their ships. I've seen something like this before." "Where?" "I don't know. That's what's bothering me." Lisa rubbed her tired eyes. "And another thing. They keep talking about how young Earth is, how quickly we developed intelligence. But they also said they've been watching us for thousands of years." Ryan nodded slowly. "I noticed that too. If they've been watching for thousands of years, they would have seen our early civilizations. Egypt, Babylon, Greece, those weren't exactly primitive." "Exactly. And some of the math behind their technology." Lisa pulled up another screen. It reminds me of theoretical physics papers I read in graduate school. Human papers. That's impossible, Ryan said, but his voice lacked conviction. Lisa saved her data and looked out the lab's small window at the alien ships. Is it? Ryan, what if we're missing something important about our own history? 3 days later, the formal agreements were signed. Humanity became junior members of the Galactic Confederation. The aliens left behind a small station near Earth's moon and promised to return in a year to check on human progress. As the alien ships disappeared into faster-than-light travel, Jake stood with Lisa and Ryan on the bridge, watching Earth turn slowly below them. "Sir," Amy Chen called from communications, "we're getting a priority message from Earth Command. They want all our data transmitted immediately." "Send everything," Jake ordered. Then quietly to Lisa and Ryan he added, "But keep copies of your personal observations. Something about this doesn't feel right." Lisa nodded, thinking about the familiar patterns in the alien technology. "Jake, I want to request access to some old archives when we get back. Ancient human texts, archaeological records, that sort of thing." "Looking for what?" "I'm not sure yet. But the aliens seem surprised by how fast we developed. What if we didn't develop as fast as they think? What if we developed faster than we think?" Ryan stared out at the stars. "You're suggesting humanity is older than we believe?" "I'm suggesting we might want to double-check our own history before we accept their version of it," Lisa said. As the horizon's edge began its journey back to Earth, none of them realized they were about to uncover the greatest secret in galactic history. The aliens thought Earth was young, but they were about to discover that humanity itself was far, far older than anyone could imagine. 3 months after first contact, Dr. Lisa Hayes worked late in her laboratory aboard the lunar research station New Prometheus. The alien technology sample sat on her desk, glowing softly under the analysis lights. She had been studying them every day since returning from the Confederation ship, and each day brought more questions. "Lisa, you need to see this," called Danny Cooper from across the lab. The young engineer had been helping her analyze the alien devices for weeks. His computer screen showed a complex mathematical formula. Lisa walked over and stared at the equations. Her breath caught in her throat. "Danny, where did you get this?" "It's the power source formula from the Zephyrian medical scanner," Danny said, pointing at the alien device on the table. "But here's the weird part. I found the same formula in an old human database." "Which database?" Danny pulled up another window. "Ancient Mesopotamian tablets, specifically ones from Babylon dating back 4,000 years. The formula is written in cuneiform, but when you translate the mathematical symbols..." Lisa sank into a chair, staring at the 2 identical formulas. One from an advanced alien civilization, one from ancient human civilization. "That's impossible." "It gets stranger," Danny continued, typing rapidly. "I started searching for other matches. Look at this." The screen filled with images. Egyptian hieroglyphs, Sanskrit texts, even cave paintings from France. All containing mathematical principles that matched the alien technology. "Danny, this formula represents faster-than-light travel calculations. Humans in ancient times couldn't have known this." "That's what I thought too," Danny said. "But the evidence is right here. Somehow, ancient humans had knowledge of advanced physics that we've only rediscovered in the last century." Lisa's tablet chimed with an incoming message. It was from Captain Jake Morrison, now back on Earth. The message was marked urgent and classified. "What is it?" Danny asked, seeing her expression. "Jake wants me to call him immediately. Something about deep space monitoring data." The video call connected, showing Jake in a secure briefing room on Earth. Behind him sat General Patricia Stone, the head of Earth's space defense program. "Lisa, we need you to sit down," Jake said seriously. "I'm already sitting." "What's going on?" General Stone leaned forward. "Dr. Hayes, our deep space monitoring stations have been analyzing background energy signatures from our solar system. We've found massive energy readings dating back millions of years." Lisa felt her stomach drop. "Millions of years? That's impossible. There was no advanced civilization on Earth millions of years ago." "That's what we thought," Jake said. "But the energy signatures match the alien ship emissions exactly. Someone has been using faster-than-light technology in our solar system for a very long time." Danny leaned into the camera view. "General, I'm Danny Cooper, working with Dr. Hayes. We've found something else. Ancient human texts contain the same mathematical formulas as current alien technology." General Stone's eyebrows rose. "Explain." For the next hour, Danny and Lisa presented their findings. Ancient tablets, cave paintings, and religious texts all contained advanced scientific knowledge that shouldn't have existed. The mathematical principles behind faster-than-light travel, energy manipulation, and even genetic engineering appeared in human records thousands of years old. There are only 3 possible explanations, Lisa concluded. Either aliens have been visiting Earth and teaching humans for thousands of years, or humans have been visiting aliens, or... She paused. Or what? Jake asked. Or humans are much older than we think we are. The call ended with orders for Lisa and Danny to expand their research. Within a week, archaeological teams around the world received new funding to search for anomalous artifacts. Dr. Kevin Murphy led one such team in Egypt. They were digging near the Giza pyramids when they found something that shouldn't exist. Buried 30 feet down in rock layers dating back millions of years, they discovered a metallic sphere. "This is impossible," Kevin said, holding the sphere carefully. It was perfectly smooth and seemed to generate its own light. "This layer of rock is from the Miocene epoch, roughly 20 million years ago. There shouldn't be any artifacts here." His assistant, Maria Santos, ran the scanner over the object. "Sir, the material analysis is coming back. Unusual. The metal doesn't match anything in our periodic table, but it's stable at room temperature." Similar discoveries happened worldwide. In China, a team found crystal formations in ancient caves that pulsed with energy. In South America, archaeologists uncovered stone carvings that showed detailed star maps accurate to modern astronomical measurements. In Australia, cave paintings depicted spacecraft that looked exactly like current human designs. The most shocking discovery came from an unexpected source. Dr. Hayes received a call from a retirement home in Arizona. "Dr. Hayes, this is Martha Wells. I'm 97 years old and I think I have information you need." "What kind of information, Mrs. Wells?" "I remember things. Things from before the forgetting." Lisa nearly dropped her phone. "The forgetting?" "When we chose to forget who we were. I was there when the decision was made. We were tired of being teachers. We wanted to experience growing up again. Mrs. Wells, I think I need to visit you." 2 days later, Lisa sat in Martha Wells's small apartment, recording their conversation. The elderly woman spoke clearly despite her age, her eyes sharp and focused. "We built cities among the stars," Martha said calmly. "Taught the younger races everything they know. The crystalline people, the insect minds, the gas beings, they were like our children. Mrs. Wells, with respect, humans have only been in space for about 70 years. Martha smiled. "That's what we wanted everyone to believe, including ourselves. We had technology that could suppress memories, rewrite genetic codes. We used it on ourselves about 12,000 years ago. Why would humanity do such a thing? Because we were stagnating. Our children, the alien races, were becoming too dependent on us. They couldn't grow while we were always there to give them answers. So we chose to step back, to forget, to let them develop on their own." Lisa stared at the old woman. "If this is true, why are you remembering now?" "The suppression was designed to fade over time. As our former students achieved true unity and wisdom, our memories would return. The Galactic Confederation's peaceful approach to first contact triggered the failsafe." That night, Lisa called Jake with her findings. "Jake, I think we need to start looking at elderly people with unusual longevity and sharp memories. If Martha Wells is telling the truth, there might be others like her. Lisa, do you really believe this story?" Lisa looked at her data, the ancient formulas, the impossible artifacts, the energy signatures from millions of years ago. "Jake, 3 months ago, I would have said aliens visiting Earth was impossible. Now I'm sitting on evidence that humans might be the oldest spacefaring species in the galaxy. What's our next step? We need to find more memory carriers like Martha Wells. And we need to prepare for the possibility that everything we thought we knew about human history is wrong." As Lisa ended the call, she wondered what other secrets lay buried in human genetic memory. If Martha Wells was right, humanity wasn't the young species learning from wise aliens. They were the ancient teachers, finally starting to remember who they really were. Dr. Lisa Hayes had spent 2 months visiting nursing homes across 3 continents, and her findings were changing everything humanity thought about itself. The elderly people she interviewed weren't just remembering stories or dreams. They were recalling detailed technical specifications, star maps, and historical events that should have been impossible for them to know. Tell me about the ship designs again. Mr. Blake, Lisa said gently to the 93-year-old man sitting across from her. Frank Blake was Commander Ryan Blake's grandfather, a retired Navy admiral who had started drawing impossible blueprints in his spare time. Frank's weathered hands moved across the paper with surprising steadiness. The quantum drive needs to be aligned with the gravitational field generators here, he said, sketching complex mechanisms. Otherwise, you'll tear the ship apart when you enter subspace. Dr. Andrew Phillips, the psychologist Lisa had brought to help with the interviews, leaned forward. Mr. Blake, where did you learn about quantum drives? Frank paused, his pencil hovering over the paper. His eyes grew distant. From the academy on Kepler Station. I was an instructor there for 40 years, teaching young pilots from dozens of different species how to navigate between the stars. Kepler Station? Lisa asked softly. Our first major outpost beyond the home system. We built it around a red dwarf star perfect for training exercises. Frank's voice grew stronger as he spoke. I remember the Zephyrian cadets. Their crystal bodies made them excellent at quantum calculations, but they were terrible at emergency maneuvers, too rigid in their thinking. Lisa exchanged glances with Andrew. Frank Blake was describing the same crystalline aliens they had met 3 months ago, but he was talking about them as if he had been their teacher. Mr. Blake, when did this happen? Andrew asked carefully. Frank frowned, confusion flickering across his face. It was before the forgetting. Before we chose to sleep and let our children grow up without us. He looked up at Lisa. You're one of the awakening team, aren't you? Here to help us remember? Lisa's hands trembled as she made notes. Mr. Blake, can you tell me more about the forgetting? It was a democratic decision. The greatest vote in human history. Frank set down his pencil and looked out the window. We had guided 17 different species to spaceflight, taught them science, philosophy, ethics, but they were becoming too dependent on us. They stopped innovating, stopped growing. They just waited for us to solve their problems. So humanity decided to forget, not just forget. We designed a genetic memory suppression system that would make us forget our advanced civilization. We scattered across the galaxy's edge worlds with only Earth maintaining a hidden population. Then we triggered the suppression and started over as a primitive species. Andrew leaned back in his chair. That's an incredible story, Mr. Blake. But how do you know it's real and not just elaborate dreams? Frank smiled and pulled out another sheet of paper. On it was a detailed star chart, showing the positions of over 100 systems. This is the Confederation's current territory. Every world where we helped species develop spaceflight. Your alien friends think they discovered these worlds themselves. Lisa photographed the star chart, her mind racing. If Frank was right, the Galactic Confederation wasn't a coalition of different species working together. It was humanity's former students, now grown up and thinking they had always been independent. That evening, Lisa called a video conference with Jake Morrison and Ryan Blake. Ryan's face was pale when he saw his grandfather's star charts. Ryan, I need you to check something, Lisa said. Compare your grandfather's charts with the navigation data from our first contact with the Confederation. Look for matches. While Ryan worked, Lisa shared her other findings. I've now interviewed 47 elderly people with similar memories. They all described the same thing. An ancient human civilization that spanned hundreds of star systems, with Earth as just one colony world among many. How is that possible? Jake asked. We have archaeological records going back thousands of years. There's no evidence of advanced technology. Actually, there is, Lisa replied. We've been finding it for months. Ancient texts with impossible knowledge, artifacts in impossible geological layers, energy signatures dating back millions of years. We just didn't want to believe what it meant. Ryan's voice came through the speakers, tight with shock. Lisa, the star charts match perfectly. My grandfather drew the exact positions of Confederation worlds, including their capital system. The chart is accurate to current astronomical data. There's more, Lisa continued. Dr. Phillips has identified a genetic marker that appears in all the memory carriers. It's linked to enhanced longevity and memory retention. But here's the key part. The suppression mechanism is breaking down naturally. What does that mean? Jake asked. It means the forgetting was designed to be temporary. As our former students matured and proved they could work together peacefully, our memories would automatically start returning. Andrew Phillips joined the call from his office. I've been analyzing the psychological profiles of the memory carriers. They all show the same pattern. Memories returning in response to news of peaceful alien contact. The Confederation's non-aggressive approach to first contact seems to be the trigger. So the aliens approaching us peacefully caused human memories to start returning? Ryan asked. Exactly. It was a failsafe built into the suppression system. If aliens ever approached Earth with peaceful intentions, it meant they had learned the lessons of cooperation and were ready for their teachers to return. Jake was quiet for a long moment. Lisa, if this is true, it means the Confederation species aren't our superiors guiding us. They're our former students who don't remember their own history. That's exactly what it means. And there's something else. Lisa pulled up Martha Wells' interview notes. According to the memory carriers, the suppression wasn't just applied to humans. Our former students had their memories altered too, so they would believe they had always been independent. Why would we do that? Because the lesson wasn't just about independence. It was about growing up completely. If they remembered being taught by humans, they might still feel dependent. This way, they developed their own cultures, their own solutions, their own sense of identity. Ryan stared at his grandfather's blueprints. These ship designs Frank drew, they're more advanced than anything the Confederation showed us. Because we're starting to remember who we really were, Lisa said. The question is, what do we do with this knowledge? We need to be careful, Jake warned. If we tell the Confederation they're our former students, how will they react? Some might feel betrayed. Others might try to return to dependence. Andrew nodded. The psychological impact could be enormous. Learning that your entire species' history is false could cause massive cultural upheaval. But we can't hide this forever, Lisa pointed out. More humans are remembering every day. And if Frank is right about our technology, we're going to start recovering capabilities that far exceed what the Confederation thinks is possible. There's something else, Ryan said quietly. If humans were the original teachers and we designed the Confederation's governmental structure, what happens when they realize their entire civilization is based on human ideas they think they developed themselves? Lisa looked at the evidence spread across her desk. Star charts drawn from memory, technical specifications for impossible machines, and interview transcripts from people who remembered teaching aliens how to fly between the stars. I think, she said slowly, we're about to find out what happens when the students discover their teacher has been sitting in the back of the classroom all along, pretending to be a new student. The implications were staggering. Humanity wasn't joining galactic civilization. They were returning to the civilization they had created and then abandoned to let their children grow up. The question now was whether those children were ready to learn the truth about their origins. Dr. Lisa Hayes stood in the medical bay of the lunar station, watching as the first volunteer prepared for the memory restoration procedure. Colonel Gary Nelson, a retired astronaut with the right genetic markers, lay on the table connected to dozens of monitoring devices. Are you sure about this, Gary? Lisa asked. The procedure she and Dr. Phillips had developed could safely reverse the genetic memory suppression, but they had only tested it on lab animals. Gary smiled, his weathered face calm. Doc, I've been having dreams about flying ships between the stars since I was a kid. If there's a chance those dreams are real memories, I need to know. Dr. Andrew Phillips checked the neural interface one last time. Gary, the process might be overwhelming. You could remember thousands of years of experiences all at once. I'm ready, Gary said firmly. Lisa activated the genetic reversal sequence. For an hour, nothing happened. Gary's vital signs remained stable, his brain activity normal. Then suddenly his eyes opened wide. Oh my God, Gary whispered, tears streaming down his face. I remember everything. Gary, how do you feel? Lisa asked, monitoring his responses carefully. Gary sat up slowly. His entire demeanor changed. When he spoke, his voice carried new authority and confidence. I remember teaching navigation to the Kythera hive minds on their homeworld. I remember the day we helped the Nebulans achieve consciousness. I remember the great debate about whether to step back and let our students grow independently. Tell us about the debate, Andrew said, recording everything. It lasted 3 years. The whole galaxy was involved. Some humans wanted to stay and keep guiding our students. Others argued that we were preventing their true development by always being there to solve their problems. Gary stood and walked to the window, looking out at Earth. The deciding factor was watching the Zephyrians. They had become so dependent on our approval that they stopped making their own artistic expressions. They would only create what they thought would please us. Lisa leaned forward. So humanity chose to forget? We chose to give our children the gift of independence. The memory suppression would last until they proved they could work together peacefully and approach other species with wisdom rather than conquest. The Confederation's gentle first contact with Earth was the signal we had been waiting for. Over the next week, Gary helped Lisa and her team understand the scope of humanity's ancient civilization. He drew maps of star systems humanity had explored, described technologies that made current human science look primitive, and explained the complex political structure they had created to govern hundreds of species across thousands of worlds. The Galactic Confederation isn't their creation, Gary explained during one session. It's our design, slightly modified over the millennia. The voting systems, the peaceful resolution protocols, the technology sharing agreements, we developed all of that. But they think they created it themselves, Lisa said. That was the point. We wanted them to feel ownership of their civilization. If they knew we had designed everything, they might never develop true confidence in their own abilities. The breakthrough came when Captain Jake Morrison arrived at the lunar station with shocking news. Lisa, we've got a situation. The Confederation ships are requesting emergency assistance. Something's happening to their crews. What kind of something? Memory flashes. Ambassador Veltar contacted us 3 hours ago. He said his people are starting to remember things that shouldn't be possible. They're asking if we know what's causing it. Gary looked up from the star chart he was drawing. Proximity effect. Being near awakening humans is triggering their own suppressed memories. We modified their genetics too, remember? They also forgot. But their suppression was designed to break down when ours did. You mean the aliens are remembering that humans taught them everything? Andrew asked. Not just taught them, raised them, guided them from primitive species to spacefaring civilizations. We were their parents in a way. Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. Gary, how do you think they'll react when they remember? That depends on how mature they've become. Some will be grateful. Others might feel betrayed or humiliated. A few might try to deny the memories entirely. 2 days later, Jake brought even more disturbing news. The Confederation fleet was in chaos. Some ships were trying to leave the solar system, while others were requesting permission to land on Earth. Ambassador Veltar was asking for a face-to-face meeting with human leadership. They're scared, Jake reported. Veltar's memories are coming back faster than the others. He remembers being a young Zephyrian whom humans taught basic mathematics. He's having trouble reconciling that with his current role as an ambassador. Lisa made a decision. Bring him to the lunar station. Gary can help him understand what's happening. The meeting took place in the station's main conference room. Ambassador Veltar arrived looking shaken, his crystalline features dim with confusion. When he saw Gary, his entire body began to glow. Instructor Nelson, Veltar said softly, I remember you. You taught me orbital mechanics in the Kepler Academy. Gary smiled warmly. Hello, Veltar. You were one of my best students. You always asked the most thoughtful questions. Veltar's light pulsed erratically. But that's impossible. The Kepler Academy never existed. Zephyrians developed spaceflight independently. We taught ourselves, no, old friend. We taught you. Humanity taught all of you, then stepped back so you could become truly independent. The crystalline being sat down heavily. The political structure of the Confederation, the technology we use, even our philosophy of peaceful contact, all based on human designs, Gary confirmed gently. But adapted by your people, improved by your creativity, made your own through generations of use. We gave you the foundation, but you built the civilization. Why? Veltar asked, his voice filled with pain. Why hide this from us? Why make us forget? Lisa stepped forward. Because you needed to know you could succeed on your own. Children who never leave their parents' house never truly grow up. You needed to believe in your own abilities. But we worshipped the idea of independence. Our entire culture is based on the pride of being self-made species. Gary nodded. And you are self-made. We gave you tools and knowledge, but you chose how to use them. The peaceful Confederation. The way you approached Earth with curiosity instead of conquest. The care you show for younger species. That's all your own character development. Ambassador Veltar was quiet for a long time, his internal light slowly stabilizing. Finally he spoke. The other species are remembering too. Some are angry. They feel deceived. And how do you feel? Andrew asked. Grateful, Veltar said, surprising everyone. And proud. If humans were our teachers, then we have lived up to their lessons. We became the kind of species that approaches others with peace and offers help rather than conquest. What about the others in the Confederation? Lisa asked. The Kythra hive minds are handling it well. They see it as just another piece of historical data to incorporate. The Nebulans are struggling more. Their entire philosophy is based on self-determination, and learning they were guided by others is challenging that belief. Gary leaned forward. Veltar, I need you to understand something important. The memory suppression included a test. Human memories would only return if our former students proved they had learned wisdom and cooperation. Your peaceful approach to first contact triggered the awakening because you passed the test. What test? The test of whether you were ready for your teachers to return. Not to resume control, but to work alongside you as equals. Humanity's greatest lesson was learning when to step back. Your greatest lesson was learning to step forward on your own. Veltar's glow brightened. So this isn't about returning to the old hierarchy. This is about recognition that we're ready for true partnership. Exactly, Lisa said. Humanity isn't reclaiming leadership of the galaxy. We're rejoining the civilization we helped create. As partners with the species, we're proud to call our former students. Ambassador Veltar stood, his crystalline form now blazing with confident light. Then I need to return to the fleet and help my colleagues understand. Some of them are talking about war, about punishing humanity for the deception. They need to know this isn't betrayal, it's graduation. As Veltar prepared to leave, Gary handed him a data pad. This contains the full historical records of our time together. Not to diminish what you've accomplished, but to show you how proud we are of who you've become. Veltar took the pad carefully. Gary? Instructor Nelson. Will you help us share this with the other species? They might accept the truth more easily from someone they remember learning from. Gary smiled. I'd be honored. After all, a teacher's job is never really finished. We just moved from teaching lessons to helping apply them. As the Confederation began to process the truth about their origins, one thing became clear. The galaxy was about to change forever. The question was whether humanity's former students were ready to accept their teachers back, not as leaders, but as the proud parents they had always been. 1 year after the Great Awakening began, Captain Jake Morrison stood before the restored Galactic Council in the massive chamber that orbited the star system humanity had once called home base. The irony wasn't lost on him. He was standing in a building humans had designed millions of years ago, addressing species they had raised from primitive life to galactic civilization. The chamber buzzed with dozens of different forms of communication. Crystalline Zephyrians glowed in complex patterns, Kythera hive minds created harmonic frequencies, and Nebulan consciousness clouds swirled in organized formations. At the center of it all sat the council table, its design unmistakably human despite millions of years of modifications. The question before us today, announced Chancellor Veltar, his role now chosen rather than inherited, is not about the past but about the future. How do we move forward as a galaxy that knows its true history? Dr. Lisa Hayes sat in the human delegation, watching the debate with fascination. The past year had been tumultuous as each species processed the revelation of their origins. Some had reacted with anger, feeling manipulated and deceived. Others had embraced the knowledge, seeing it as validation of their growth. A few had tried to deny the memories entirely, insisting that their independence was more important than historical truth. Hivemind Kixara spoke first. Its buzzing voice translated for all species present. The Kythera Collective has processed all available data. We conclude that human guidance was beneficial to our development. However, we also conclude that our current civilization reflects our own choices and values. We propose continued cooperation on equal terms. A ripple of agreement passed through many delegations, but not all. Consciousness driftall of the Nebulans pulsed with agitated colors. The Nebulan unity remains troubled by the deception. Our entire cultural identity is based on self-determination. Learning that our fundamental technologies and governmental structures came from another species challenges our core beliefs. Jake stood to address the council. Consciousness driftall, may I ask you something? In the past 1,000 years, how many peaceful first contacts has the Nebulan unity made with younger species? 17 successful contacts resulting in 11 new species joining the Confederation peacefully. And how did you approach those species? Did you share technology and knowledge freely? Did you guide them toward peaceful cooperation? Driftall's form swirled thoughtfully. Of course. It is the Nebulan way to nurture developing consciousness. Where do you think you learned that approach? Jake asked gently. The chamber fell silent as the implication sank in. Dr. Andrew Phillips, now serving as humanity's cultural liaison, stood to elaborate. Every species in this chamber has become teachers in their own right. You've taken the guidance you received and adapted it, improved it, made it your own. Then you've passed it on to newer species. That's not dependence, that's growth. Colonel Gary Nelson, his memories now fully restored, activated a holographic display. I'd like to show you something. This is a timeline of technological and cultural development for all Confederation species. The display showed branching lines of advancement, with each species developing unique innovations and cultural expressions. While the foundational technology showed human origins, the applications and improvements were entirely the work of each individual species. Look at Zephyrian crystal harmonics. Gary pointed to one branch. Humans taught basic physics, but Zephyrians developed ways to use crystalline structures for faster-than-light communication that we never imagined. Cathara collective intelligence algorithms far exceed anything humanity ever created. Nebulan consciousness research has opened entire new fields of study. Chancellor Veltar's light pulsed in agreement. Instructor Nelson speaks truth. We have become more than our teachers imagined possible. But not everyone was convinced. Representative Throck of the Metallic Collective, a newer member species, spoke with hard skepticism. How do we know this pattern won't repeat? How do we know humans won't suppress our memories again when they decide we've become too independent? Lisa stood to answer. Because the decision to suppress memories was made by the entire galactic community, not just humans. The records show that 17 different species voted on the memory suppression plan. Humans provided the technology, but everyone agreed it was necessary. She activated another display showing the ancient voting records. The decision was unanimous. Every species agreed that true independence required temporarily forgetting their origins. It was the most democratic decision in galactic history. Danny Cooper, now leading the technology integration team, added his own perspective. There's also a practical reason it won't happen again. The memory suppression technology only worked because you trusted us completely. Now that you know it exists, you'd never allow it to be used again. A new voice spoke from the back of the chamber. Elder Beth Williams, one of the human memory carriers, walked slowly to the speaker's platform. At 99 years old, she had become humanity's unofficial historian. Children, she said, her voice carrying across the chamber with surprising strength. I remember the day we made the decision to step back. It was the hardest choice any parent ever made. But we also remember the joy of watching you grow beyond our expectations. She gestured to the assembled species. Look around this chamber. You've created art we never imagined, solved problems we couldn't handle, developed compassion and wisdom that makes us proud. You've become teachers yourselves, raising new species with patience and care. You've proved that our greatest gift to you wasn't technology or knowledge. It was showing you how to be teachers yourselves. Driftall's form brightened. Elder Williams, the Nebulan Unity has a question. Why reveal the truth now? You could have remained hidden indefinitely. Beth smiled. Because the test was never about staying hidden. It was about waiting until you were ready to be true partners. When you approached Earth with peaceful intentions, offering help instead of demanding submission, you proved you had learned the most important lesson. That true strength comes from lifting others up, not holding them down. Chancellor Veltar called for a recess, and the species delegations gathered in smaller groups to discuss the proposals. Jake found himself approached by Ambassador Zen of the Crystalline Collective, a species that had achieved spaceflight only recently. Captain Morrison, my people have a concern. We joined the Confederation believing we were equals with all other species. Now we learn that some species are actually teachers and students. Where does that leave us? Jake considered the question carefully. Ambassador Zen, let me ask you this. Does it matter whether the mathematics you learned in school was first discovered by humans or Zephyrians? What matters is that you understand it and can use it to build your own innovations. But the hierarchy implications? There is no hierarchy, Gary interrupted, joining the conversation. That's the whole point. Yes, humans were first to achieve spaceflight. Yes, we guided other species to the same achievement. But once you achieved it, you became equals. Some of you have even surpassed us in various fields. Ambassador Zen's crystalline features shifted thoughtfully. So age doesn't equal authority? Experience offers wisdom, Lisa said, approaching the group. But wisdom has to be earned fresh by each generation. The fact that humans are older doesn't make our ideas automatically better. It just means we might have different perspectives to contribute. When the council reconvened, Chancellor Veltar announced the results of the species consultations. The Galactic Council has reached a decision. We choose to embrace our full history while moving forward as equals. Human species will be welcomed back to full membership in the Confederation, not as leaders but as partners. However, added hive mind Kixara, we also choose to establish new protocols. No species may suppress the memories or alter the development of others without unanimous consent of all affected parties. This ensures our tragic separation never happens again. The vote was overwhelming in favor. Only 3 species abstained and none voted against. As the council session ended, Jake found himself walking through the station's observation deck with Lisa, Danny, and Gary. Through the transparent aluminum windows, they could see ships from dozens of species working together on joint research projects. "Look at that," Danny said, pointing to a mixed crew installing new technology on an exploration vessel. Humans working alongside Zephyrians, Cathara, and species we've never seen before. All equals, all contributing. Gary smiled, watching a young human engineer explaining quantum mechanics to an alien student. The circle is complete. We taught them to be teachers, and now they're teaching others, including teaching us things we never knew. Lisa nodded toward Earth, visible as a blue dot in the distance. Admiral Blake was right when he said the galaxy is vast enough for everyone to be teachers and students in turn. We may have been first, but we won't be last. And the best part, Jake added, is that our students have become better teachers than we ever were. They approach new species with more patience and wisdom than we showed them. As they watched the bustling activity of true galactic cooperation, Gary pulled out a photo his great-granddaughter had drawn. It showed stick figures holding hands around a circle, representing different species.